Hello and welcome to the Savvy Safety Sisters Partner in Prevention podcast. I'm Carrie Pascarella, founder of Global Secure Resources, and I am here with Stephanie Rodriguez. And as many of you know, Stephanie is a speaker and author and the founder of the Wander Safe Beacon and app, and she has been a guest before on our podcast. Her advocacy work covers every part of the world from Australia to Asia, Africa, and to America, and everywhere in between. So we know one of the best ways to make a difference in preventing victimization and keeping you and your family safe is to inform the public about true stories and share strategies, tools, and techniques to increase our safety. So today we are covering a story that is gripping London, the kidnapping and murder of Sarah Everard. So welcome, Stephanie.
Thanks, Carrie. It's good to be on your show again.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure.
Oh, it's always wonderful to see you. But let's talk about Sarah, who she is and what happened to her. Let's go over this whole crime that has taken place and that is really gripping us all as women. What do you know about her? And I can fill in some as well.
Well, I know that she is originally from the UK and was a marketing executive, 33 years old. I'm not sure of all the facts because, again, we're not in the UK and getting everything other than what we're reading on the ABC. But it seems that, her death has sparked enormous community outrage and sadness. And, whilst the UK is currently in lockdown and coming off of lockdown, tension's pretty high around the fact that her murder has been attributed to at the hands of a metropolitan police. What do you know, Carrie?
Yes. So this all started back on March 3rd. When she left a friend's house at approximately 9 p.m. and was taking about a 50-minute walk home to her house. She was going to be traversing through one of the local parks. At 9:30 p.m. on March 3rd, that was the last sighting that they had of her, which was on a CCTV camera. And by the next day, her boyfriend had reported her missing. Now, between March 3rd, March 4th, they took off and started doing this big search for her, looking everywhere. And it was on March 9th that the police ended up arresting two people. And one, like you said, was a police officer. And they also arrested his wife in conjunction with this situation. Unfortunately, on March 10th, they discovered her body, and the outrage is just boiling over because women are feeling very vulnerable. All women are doing is going out and taking walks, going about their business, and every single day they are under attack. They are being harassed on the streets. And this is why we've seen such an outrage and people coming out and they're protesting. They want safety. They want safety for all. And it really is a difficult situation when it is a police officer, somebody that was in power and somebody who we should have had trust in. And unfortunately, that is the situation. We also do have to say that the police, the Metropolitan Police, did a really fantastic investigation. And this is how they discovered who it was. So, you know what? The police do not want a bad guy within their ranks either. They want to make sure that women are safe on the streets. But what can we do? There's just so much to this story and so much outrage. Stephanie, what are your thoughts?
Well, Carrie, in looking at some of the comments, you see that there, I think there was a tweet asking if women had a history of violence against them, being made to feel uncomfortable or unsafe, and more than 120,000 likes and responses were laid against this tweet. And so it's creating almost a Me Too tidal wave that this woman who was subject to a physical assault, those actions that would lead up or make someone concerned that it might happen is more than common. I think the number, let me just check quickly, is about 120, 118 names were read out in Parliament recently, attributing deaths by women that were killed violently. So, the UK is really saying that that it's not a rare occasion. It's happening far too much. People are almost becoming desensitized to it.
Right. So now why don't we just look at the scope of sexual assaults in Great Britain? So according to the End Violence Against Women, more than 500,000 women are sexually assaulted every single year in Britain.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're looking at the statistics of 1 in 5 will be subjected to sexual assaults during her lifetime. And according to a national statistic, they did a recent study, and this recent study of women, they ended up having 97% of the women saying that they have been sexually harassed in London. This is outrageous. This is just, too much to take sometimes. And now we can even bring that statistic, to look at the statistics here in America. And here, every 73 seconds, according to RAINN, the national organization that supports victims and their families, every 73 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted.
Wow.
Those numbers are just outrageously high. And we need to shine a beacon on this issue, and we need to make sure that we're coming up with strategies, tools, and techniques to prevent this. And it really is sad because, all of this is coming down on women. We have to protect ourselves, right? Because there's such a great number of these instances happening. Now, in a perfect world, we would have everybody would be against this, and we'd be able to come together, men and women, and we'd be able to fight this and end this. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. So the responsibility does fall on us when we're out and about and we're, trying to lead our life, jogging, walking, going to work. And so, the truth is that perpetrators live in our communities. They're people we know. So what can we do, and how can we combat this at this international level? Right? There's just so much about this. Women are living with the constant threat. And I really do hate the fact that a lot of it is coming down on our shoulders. But once again, we have to be proactive with our safety and our safety strategies to be able to protect ourselves. And that's really what it comes down to. So,
yeah, it's interesting to see, what kind of conversations are arising out of, Sarah's very unfortunate and very tragic death, the conversation about, men taking a stand for women. And it's still really perceived. I mean, the more Aboriginal women in Australia perish annually at the hands of Aboriginal men. So I don't think that the problem is unique to the UK, because I see it here. And, we deal with, when we do our census, about number of women who feel unsafe after dark outside, and then the number of lives lost due to domestic violence. If we look at the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and those are, of course, things that are very close to our practice and our business as an ethos, Carrie, the access to education, the elimination of violence against women and children, etc. A lot of these social problems arise on the back end of violence in the community, either in homes or outside. So I think, in looking at, how will we solve these problems? I think there's an individual responsibility on how we conduct ourselves, but I also believe that organizations and institutions should be also guiding the narrative, because I wouldn't know how to defend myself if I didn't take a safety, or a personal safety defense class, or, got educated on, what kind of equipment I can use or what apps are out there. There was a list of apps in a UK newspaper that we posted on Wander Safe's Facebook page yesterday, which listed out, shortcuts in the phone in case you're in trouble. And we love the fact that the BBC had written about this, but they failed to mention that there are better apps like ours that are free that help you actually get help faster than if you're calling out to Siri and asking Siri to take a shortcut.
Absolutely. That is the truth. I mean, we really do have to bring attention to these, the tools that can actually help us in a situation where we need help, and we need help this second, right? Because when we look at the effects of what is happening in a woman's life or a man's life who is sexually assaulted or attacked, or is victimized, it's lifelong. They can experience the physical injuries, long-term mental health effects, disruption to their everyday life, their sleep patterns. There's the list is just so long about the hurtful, harmful effects. And so one of the things we think about when we're talking with women about how they're dealing with this problem, some women come up with ideas of like carrying your keys in your hands, and walking in groups. But the truth is, we're not always going to be in a group. And in fact, when we saw the mass sexual assaults that happened on New Year's Eve in Germany, what we do know is there could be mass attacks as well. So when we're strategizing our safety, this brings me right to what you do and how you keep the world safer. I would love our listeners to hear more about the Wander Safe and the app and what you're doing.
Sure, Carrie. Well, I mean, we launched our project in TFWA in Cannes in 2018 on International Day of Nonviolence, Gandhi's birthday, because we set out to design and develop a nonviolent personal safety solution that equips people, women and the vulnerable, to be empowered when they're outside of their homes or workspaces or schools, churches, etc. And also to assist people when they're in their own home to signal for help if in fact they needed it in a situation of domestic violence. To do that, I'll just reach and show you one because I've got one here, it's in the box. But we developed this cute little wearable device. It's an Internet of Things device, and it works quite simply. The instructions are always in the back in case you get stuck with it. And this one might have a charge from the factory. But we designed this little personal safety device that can't hurt you with a few key features. And they were very purposeful when we designed them, to make sure that they had a light to illuminate a situation, because bad things happen in the dark, Carrie, as we know. A strobe light to distract someone in the event that someone was really not responding to the light. We know that a strobe light clinically disrupts the brain's thought pattern. So if I were to shine, and I'm not going to do it for you and I's mental sake, but if someone puts a strobe in your face, your brain disconnects from its intention and says, there's a strobe in my face, please make it stop. And then finally, if you pull it and detach the little housing here, it emits 130 decibels of noise pollution as well as light and sound. And just as easy as you can open it, you can close it. So when the threat is eradicated, it's very simple to turn off, and it's not going to go off for the next 24 hours in your handbag. But more importantly, there's a little SOS button. And if depressed, when it works with the app, it then signals to the emergency contacts in the app. It sends emergency notifications via SMS and shows them into the app where exactly you are with 3 meters of accuracy.
Wow.
So that's kind of, a safety app, and that's a companion to hardware, is the Wander Safe whole ecosystem.
See, that's amazing, because I love that idea of scaring the perpetrator, because one of the things that we find is the way criminals hunt their victims is they want to find the most vulnerable. And so if you have a Wander Safe and you pull that and it makes that loud noise, that may just scare them off. They might just run away. But it also gives the carrier the ability to, once again, notify somebody that they are in danger. And if you're even in a situation where you do have a perpetrator attacking you and you're telling them, hey, I've already notified somebody. They know exactly where I am. These things may disrupt the attack. And that's
Yes.
what this is all about, is really.
I mean, Thomas Pecora, who helped design the product, Carrie, he told me, and Thomas was in the CIA for 25 years. He's got a book out, and he was in Benghazi when all of that stuff went down. So certainly a man who understands safety and security to the nth degree. But Thomas and I were collaborating on the design of the WanderSafe beacons and the ecosystem. And he said, that personal safety comes down to information, environmental awareness, and equipment. But if you have these three things nutted out clearly, then it creates a success mindset. And the mindset of having the tools, the information, the techniques, as you discuss, all at the ready. So hardware, software, knowledge, and spatial understanding of where you are, that you're 87% less likely that someone will actually assault you, because you're far more prepared than they expect you are. And we just love that about, and many others, really love the fact that they're prepared and confident when they leave out their house, or, come back from work at night, or are off to school or wherever. And, folks who have either school-age children or working spouses have peace of mind that, they're sending their loved one out as equipped as possible to have a good day. And that's really what we see our role is to create that confidence.
Right, exactly. You're empowering people to take charge of their safety. I love that. And that's exactly what we need. And because it's a tool that can't be used against them as well. Because I always think about pepper spray or some of these other, tools that people use. Well, if they're taken away from somebody, they can be used against them. And so this is another reason why I really love the whole concept of the WanderSafe, is just to be able to empower people with the strategies to get to safety when they need it, and have somebody, it's sort of like a lifeline. And like you said, it's not just for women traveling. You can use this in so many different other situations, right? I would like to give one to my elderly mother, right? So that she has one just in case. You could give it to so many different people that are out working.
We've got some friends in Canada who are mad hikers, and they love the WanderSafe beacon because the siren will actually scare off animals. So unwanted animals, so they don't like the shrill sound of that 130 decibel siren, and it has been a safety tool for them. But when someone's navigating an area that doesn't have roads and street numbers, and there are certain islands in the Caribbean or sides of mountains here in Australia or in Canada where someone might like to go bushwalking or hiking and be off the beaten path, got a signal and need help. And our app, unlike the phone itself, can locate and give location coordinates in a really simple way with 3-word accuracy. So the ability to use it in the bush to scare away animals and wayfind and call for help if someone twisted an ankle is a really interesting and unusual use case, but one that we love hearing about from our consumers.
Right. Yeah. And I love that idea of taking it out on a hike. That's just so amazing. But really going back to gender violence, we've had so many cases, even here in America. And one of our last cases that I worked with a family, Anaya Blanchard, and she was kidnapped and murdered by a person that should have been in jail. So because of her death, they started Anaya's Law, and I hope this might pass this year to make sure that violent criminals aren't on our street. But there were so many different women that have been affected by this type of violence, whether it's domestic violence or just random violence. We have Alexis Sharkey. She was murdered in Texas, or Vanessa Marcotte, a wonderful woman who was out for a jog and who was attacked, a few years back. We're still waiting for the murderer to be convicted. It's still in the courts right now. But also Jazzy Carrera. She was just leaving a nightclub here in Boston. And
Wow.
the story is just so sad because she left the nightclub and she was just getting a ride home with somebody. but unfortunately, it was a perpetrator, and he kidnapped her and murdered her. So when we think about all this, the gender violence situations that are happening globally, I really like the fact that the WanderSafe is a global item. So you can use this in every continent, correct?
Yes.
So
Our technology, our geolocation technology, Carrie, we've integrated something called What 3 Words. And if you've not heard of it, I recommend just Googling what the number 3 and words. And this company actually mapped the entire planet into 3-meter square gridded spaces, and then assigned them words. So where I might be asparagus, chicken, and Halloween. But if those coordinates or those 3 words are put into What 3 Words interface, a police officer, a fire and rescue, an embassy, or a partner would be able to locate me with that kind of precision. So in the instance of Sarah and how long it's taken for her body and remains to be discovered, I mean, I don't know whether or not having a beacon and WanderSafe would have prevented this heinous crime. I don't know. I do know that she would have been better prepared, but I don't know the motive of the police officer being accused of why she would be targeted. And if someone's planning on kidnapping someone, that's quite a different crime than purse snatching when it comes to motive, intent, level of planning, etc. But I can surmise that had she have used WanderSafe, then it would have begun to start notifying her emergency contacts, her loved ones, immediately when she went missing. Whether or not finding her faster would have saved her life, I'd like to believe so. I don't know, but I do think those tools would have perhaps changed the outcome for her.
Sure. And you know what was interesting about this particular police officer? A few days before this crime, on February 28th, he actually was involved with an indecent exposure, and he was being interviewed for that. So we know he
clearly had issues.
He clearly had issues. He was a perpetrator, and he needed to be off these streets. And like you said, if she did have that beacon, I know one of the things that occurs once you push that button is, doesn't it send out a new GPS location?
Every minute,
So
every minute.
This is remarkable, because if you are kidnapped, it will be sending the location as you're going.
Yes.
Once again, being able to say to somebody that my location is already out there, you're going to be foiled. They're going to find you. They're going to find me. That may have given a little bit of time for her to escape, or, you know, change.
Or the perpetrator to change his mind, you know?
Yes.
Abandon the exercise.
Yes, right. And so this brings us to bystander intervention, a really important task that we should talk about, because once again, if you are, you know, the victim and the perpetrator, anybody else can be a bystander intervention. So if you're not involved with the victim, or you're not involved with the perpetrator, you have an opportunity to really speak up if you do see something happening that is wrong. And I think that's what we need more in our society, because we have to end this gender violence. We need to end violence with our women, with our girls. And the only way we're going to be able to do this is with leadership. And it has to be from the very top, and it has to come down to our lowest levels. We need to speak up when we see harm, whether it's verbal, whether it's a touch, or any type of assault. We have to speak up and give people a place where they can go and get help. We need a lot more services out there, because we started off with those statistics. These statistics are absolutely outrageous. We need our people to be safe and secure no matter where they go in this world.
Yep.
Correct? So
100%. I mean, that's our mission, yours and mine, is to keep people safe, and, you know, and doing all we can for that cause and for that mission. You know, I often speak about what we're doing with WanderSafe, and state, you know, with full intention that we're on a mission to impact 1 billion lives by 2025 and democratize safety, because we believe that for every person that goes to work, school, worship, home, and in the community unharmed, there's a socioeconomic and spiritual impact to that goes on and passes the butterfly effect to the family, to the community, to the educators, to the police, to the community minders, to the well-being of a community when harm doesn't happen. So, in letting the police do their job, which is to take bad people off the street, it allows me to focus and you to focus on educating consumers and the people on how to protect themselves.
Sure. And that's exactly what we do at Global Secure Resources and Global Secure Students is we really focus on the 3 Ps, which is proactive, prepared, and protected. And each of these have a component that's connected to the strategies, tools, and techniques. By utilizing these methods, we really can have a better approach to safety and security for ourselves, for our family, and for the ones that we love. And we really do need to fight back with our strategies and create a safer path for so many people. But I just want to say thank you so much for joining today on the podcast. And I think before we leave, we definitely want to leave a 24/7 resource for our viewers or our listeners. If anybody needs help or a friend is in need, please reach out to 1-800-656-4673. That's RAIN.org. And you can speak with a trained advocate who can provide assistance for anybody suffering from victimization. And I really want to thank you, Stephanie, for taking the time and really sharing your passion and your knowledge with us today. It really means a lot. And
thank you, Carrie.
Do you have any last words you'd like to share?
No, I mean, for the user, we developed our app for free on purpose so that it can give easy and fast tools to begin to have that safety conversation within your family, within your social group, within your college peers, depending on where you are in life, your work colleagues, if you work in an office where you have to go outside the office to make calls or open homes, etc. So in building this great resource and tool that's free, I just want to encourage people to go to the Google Play Store, to iTunes, download the Wander Safe Beacon app, set it up, and have a safety conversation with your loved ones. It's free. And, we hope that we're going to reduce the number of assaults that happen by way of empowering people with our technology. But thanks for having me.
Yes, that's truly amazing. I will suggest to everybody, go download this app. I love it. I personally love it. I use it, and I'm excited for everybody to get that. And we will be back for another episode to increase public awareness and reduce the dangers faced by citizens in their daily life, whether traveling around the corner or around the world. And please visit us at Global Secure Resources and Global Secure Student for more information about our community awareness and prevention programs. And also, go ahead and go to our website and download your free safety checklist for solo women travelers to keep you and the ones you love safe. That's it for today, and we will see you again.